Thank you for your interest in the Retained Recruiter show powered by iIntro. Before the show starts, I have a small favour to ask of you. Our goal is to provide you with the most insightful, helpful and practical recruitment knowledge and know-how from the best in the recruitment industry. If you like this channel and enjoy watching our content, hit the subscribe button to get notified as soon as we upload a new episode. Thank you again, and as ever, we're rooting for your success. Now, time for the show. Hello and welcome to the Retained Recruiter show. My name is James.
And my name is Jo. Welcome everybody. Nice to have you here. And again, we are not alone. We are joined by, as you're like a rose between two thorns, Paul. I'm assuming you are in the middle on my screen. I'm assuming that's the same for everybody else. But yes, we are not alone. Hi, Paul. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks, Jo. Yourself?
Yes, I am very, very good. I think James can probably do better than that. James, you've got a introduction to Paul, haven't you?
Yeah, let's give an introduction. This is Paul Hickey. Paul is the managing director of the executive search firm, multidisciplined executive search firm, Grass Greener Group. And Paul, we should also disclose, is the co-founder of iIntro. Many, many years ago, Paul and I first met in 2012. And obviously now we're sort of on the same side of the fence. But Paul's really here today. In his capacity as managing director or an active managing director of an executive search firm, Grass Greener Group. So, Paul, welcome to you.
Thank you, James. Yeah, we're just a little bit older and grayer, and perhaps even a little bit wiser, but I'm not sure.
A little bit wider, yeah. Anyway.
Wider.
Anyway, today's topics, Jo. What are we going to be talking about today? Let's give people the key topic for today.
So there is a great ebook which has been created by iIntro. The 5 key challenges recruitment leaders need to master to unlock growth. And I think there's a couple of them that people won't think would have been in that top 5. So we're going to talk about top 5 today. First challenge we're going to talk about is embracing digital transformation. So we're going to have a bit of a conversation about that, what it is, why it's important, why we need to all be embracing that in our recruitment businesses. Challenge number 2, showcasing green credentials. So again, this is one of the ones that I'm not sure people will have this high on their agenda, but it really needs to be. So how to stay ahead of your competition with that. Challenge number 3, demonstrating to clients DE&I in your recruitment and selection process. So this is a hot topic. So we're going to have a bit of a discussion about that and why it's important. Challenge number 4, developing and recruiting talent in your own recruitment agency. Because we do it for clients doesn't mean we're very good at doing it ourselves. So how as an agency can you attract and retain top talent? 2 of the biggest challenges, I think, for any business, regardless of whether it's recruitment or not. And then challenge number 5 is winning more vacancies. But I think we're going to expand on that quite a bit to include the sort of the candidate element as well. Lots to get through. We've got 30 minutes. Someone has asked if this is going to be recorded because they'll be flying at the time. I'm jealous. And the answer is yes. You can always click on this afterwards and it'll show the replay. But we will put it on YouTube as well, won't we, James?
Absolutely. And interestingly, Jo, when you talked about the challenges that we're going to be discussing, the ones that people may not expect to be in there, possibly the one at the end there that you spoke about, winning more vacancies is probably one that people would expect, and it's something we'll talk about as we go through this next 30 minutes. I think, as I say, we will give people access. If you've not downloaded the ebook that we're referring to, please do that. You'll find it on our website. Go to the iLibrary and you'll find access to it there. Or if you have any problems, just reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'll certainly get it to you. I think I've actually put up a post yesterday which has got a link to it as well. So plenty of places to download. And we've had some, we've released this a week or so ago now. We've had some really, really positive feedback. So please do take the time today. We're going to be touching, skirting around the edges of it. But Paul's really going to be giving us input to that. So Paul, why don't we start with the first one? Enabling digital transformation. Oh, look, there's the chance to download the ebook. There's iIntro.com/unlocking_growth. Oh, say that easily. Cool.
Yes.
Paul,
don't read it now, though. Listen to us. Read it afterwards. Listen to us first and then read it afterwards.
So, digital transformation. As you've disclosed, I was a co-founder of iIntro, and that was the really early days of digital transformation, analog to digital, I guess. How can we? Well, I suppose the first step was we used to send CVs via fax, and then we moved to email. But ultimately, it's still sending 2 sheets of A4, isn't it, down the wire?
Yeah.
And that's where iIntro was born, really, in terms of trying to digitize the delivery process. At the time, you had, so at the front end, you had technology in terms of finding candidates, and you were starting to get, LinkedIn was starting to, I suppose the early stages of LinkedIn was available 15 plus years ago, but there wasn't really anything on the delivery side, and there still isn't too much, really. So that's where our recruitment company sort of, I think, started the trend in terms of digital transformation in delivery, in terms of assessing candidates, profiling candidates, and delivering more than just a CV. But if you look at it now, obviously it's spanned a lot wider, and I think recruitment is kind of 3 stages, isn't it? It's kind of winning the vacancies, sort of conducting the search, and then delivering your results in simplistic terms. And for me, quite recently, we've had sort of an epiphany in terms of marketing, so digital transformation in recruitment marketing, which has really close ties with business development. And I sort of use that symbolically because they do go hand in hand. And it's really important to have both. So we use a software called HubSpot in the recruitment business, which is, I mean, being able to see and understand who's engaging with your content, whether it's paid for ads when they push through to a landing page, or it's email sent, how many clicks, what have they clicked on, how many times have they opened it, have they forwarded it. And if you're marketing, it doesn't matter whether you're marketing to 10 or you're marketing to 10,000, having the system put this information in a priority order of warm leads or hot leads is phenomenal. But they've got to do that thing that we used to do years ago, that picking up the phone thing. And
that's very old school, isn't it?
Call these people, isn't it? So you can only go digital so far. And yeah, you might win business, but ultimately it's that personal touch, isn't it, at the end that's all important. So we've been really encouraged recently by being introduced to this wave of marketing technology, combining it with business development. And then, of course, we've got the iIntro platform at the end, which then delivers. I'm not as experienced on the middle part because the people in my business take care of a lot of that sort of candidate searching, but we do use various different technologies to sort of speed up that process and make it more efficient. I'm hesitant to use the word speed up because I don't really like it. I think we need to be focused on quality, but nonetheless, you need to compete in that way to a degree. And then again, get on the phone to them and speak to them. So there's always got to be that technology-human interaction. I don't think we're going to be completely replaced by AI as such.
No, I hope not.
Interesting.
Who did we have on ages ago, James, who was talking about technology-enabled recruiters, and actually that it should be a hybrid of the two, because you retain the human element and the quality of it, but also you get to increase exactly like you said, the speed at which you're managing to get it out there into the marketplace, but also the amount of scope or the amount of land that you're able to cover in a very short period of time. But I'm still a great believer that you still need the human element. Validate before you automate.
It's funny, Joe. If you go back sort of 15 years, circa 2009, when
I was only very young then, Paul.
Of course,
you have to refer to James on this one.
when things like LinkedIn were starting to come into play and job sites, and I remember speaking to people and they were saying it's going to push recruiters out of business. Why do you need a recruiter when you've got technology that can advertise a role and you can get direct applicants? And LinkedIn is going to be basically, it's your CV online, which essentially is. There's going to be no need for recruiters. Around that time, there were probably 6,000 registered recruitment companies in the UK. I think now there's 36,000. So somebody got it wrong.
Yeah,
I think Joe, you mentioned validate before you automate, and I think it is really important that things like automation aren't there to replace human interaction, the quality angle that you spoke about, Paul. So, and obviously with automation nowadays, the big thing that's out there is artificial intelligence, AI, and they're very useful tools. And I think we've already heard people talk about, well, AI is going to replace the recruiter or the marketeer or whichever the job is replacing. And there's a lot of people saying a lot of those things. And I think that the point you make, Paul, is very prescient in the sense that 15 to 20 years ago, people were saying with the advent of LinkedIn, it was going to sort of kill the recruitment industry. It hasn't done that. What we learned to do is coexist with it and find a symbiotic relationship between LinkedIn and the recruiter. And the same thing has to take place between automation and AI and how we embrace that digital transformation. If you want, it will overrun you. Yeah. But actually, if you look at how to interact with it, how to improve the quality of your proposition, to your clients, your candidates, your own staff, I think it's got massive benefits to all of us, really. And I just want to go back, if I may, just to one other point you mentioned, because obviously, Paul, you mentioned your marketing CRM, which is HubSpot. And many people will be familiar with that, but most of the people listening today, the recruitment leaders around the world, most of them are using, recruitment specific CRMs, be it a Bullhorn or a Job Adder or a Firefox. Firefish. Firefox is that's a browser, isn't it? Anyway, I meant Firefish. So if anybody's listening from Firefish, I didn't mean to get it wrong. But there's a nice little plug for you. And obviously those have some of those things, but you're interesting because as a recruiter, you're using a marketing specific CRM. It's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, we had your namesake on here, Paul Hickey, but also a guy called Ryan Pritchard, who's a performance director, which is a very unusual title in a recruitment business. It's interesting how the recruitment world now is starting to spread its wings beyond just recruitment things. And when you're looking at things like automation or, bringing in extra services, as Chris Hickey from Mercury Hampton was doing with Ryan, we've got to open our eyes now to things that are around us, because digital world transformation is important.
Well, we use 3 platforms. We use HubSpot, and then we use a recruitment-specific CRM, and then we use iIntro as a delivery platform. And within reason, the kind of work, the flow in the business works perfectly. So HubSpot, we market to potential clients with HubSpot. Then when they become a client, they go into the recruitment-specific CRM, and that's where we also manage candidates. And then ultimately, obviously, candidates then build their profiles in iIntro, and that gets delivered to the client. So it just works perfectly. It's taken some time to get there because things are ever changing, but it works. By the way, I thought it's worth mentioning my top tip on when people buy technology. You always got to measure it against your return on investment. So is this technology going to make more placements? Is it going to raise my fees? Is it going to mean that we're going retained? Because I've spoken to so many fellow recruiters, or we've just got this video interviewing platform. Fantastic. How much is that costing? 500 quid a month. Fantastic. So have you put your fees up? No. You're going to place more candidates? No. It's just to keep up with the Joneses. Yeah. So, you've got to measure. We're going to buy some technology. We're going to commit to it. What's the return on investment?
I think a very good point. Let's go on to the second topic, because we're already 10 minutes in, and we've got 5 topics to go 12 minutes in. Right, challenge number 2 that we sort of highlighted in this ebook is showcasing green credentials and staying ahead of your competition. Before I ask you to give your thoughts on that, Paul, I just want to share some information. Many people listening today who happen to be UK focused will be aware that there was an expo in London this week called the Recruitment Agency Expo, and I sat in on a presentation given by Neil Carberry, and I've got a blog that I'm going to sort of put out tomorrow morning, or a little post, not blog, a post tomorrow about his presentation. But although I don't cover it in the blog that's going out tomorrow, there's some really interesting stats that Neil and the REC have pulled up, and there's a nice little phrase which is only green growth will be growth. So if we think this green credentials is a fad, it definitely isn't. And we talk about carbon footprint, and you might think, in recruitment? Yeah, and you might think that that's the thing. But there are going to be, in the UK, there are going to be 500,000 jobs in this sector. And if you don't have green credentials, you won't get past the door. Now, there'll be many people listening saying, but I'm not chasing the government departments or those. Well, these things gradually seep down. And we'll probably talk about that a little bit later on when we talk about DE&I or ED&I, however you want to sort of phrase it. So anyway, Paul, let's open the floor to you. I just wanted to share that statistic that I picked up earlier on this week. And thanks to Neil Carberry from the REC.
No, it's good. I like Neil, by the way, great guy. I think it's really important. And through iIntro, at Grass Greener, we've been aware of this for quite some time, and we actually present it as one of our USPs. And it comes down to some people want to save time and money. And if they can be green as well, that's almost an added bonus, but they're becoming more equal. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a recruitment company in Portsmouth, and you happen to be recruiting for a national role for a company that are in Aberdeen. Let's go extreme. That means that, let's say, for example, it's a national role. You might have somebody in Ipswich, somebody in Birmingham, somebody in Manchester. You might have 5 candidates for the role, but the head office is in Aberdeen. So you could even go further and say you could make it international for the sake of this point. These people have got to get together, and typically they're going to get together 2 or 3 times during the recruitment process. First interview, second interview, maybe third. And that's a lot of miles. It's potentially flights. It's 5 flights for the candidates to get there. It's 5 flights to get back. You're going to do a second round, same again. Maybe it's the 3 hiring managers that are flying that way and flying back. You've got 16 flights. Then you have to do a second round. So it might be 3 candidates and another 3 people from the employer. You're talking about 20 plus, 30 plus flights, long journeys. And if you would sit down and calculate the emissions, it's unnecessary for the most part. With our process, it's very rare that clients meet candidates more than twice. It's usually somewhere between once and twice, depending on geography and situations. But I think Zoom and Teams have helped. So we're more familiar with doing online meetings, interviews, whatever, which is great. But if you can just trim it down from 3 to 2 or 2 to 1, then you are saving time, money, emissions. And as you've mentioned, I'm not sure how important it is for the majority of companies at this moment in time, but it's becoming more and more important, particularly with the blue chip companies, and that's filtering down into the SMEs. Well,
yeah,
and it's a selling point, isn't it? It's important. And if you're hitting on time, money, or green, you're probably going to push one of the right buttons at least. So you're spreading your bets when you're putting your foot forward.
Yeah, I think it's like anything, you know. If you start looking into this now and you start researching it, and as a business you start investing in it, and thinking about your how eco-friendly your business is, thinking about how you're going to communicate that to your clients, what policies are you going to put in place. If you start putting it in place now, you'll already be there when everybody is doing it, and that's what you want. If you can already see the bandwagon, then you're too late. That's what they say, isn't it?
Well, the way that I present it is, when you meet candidates for the first time, what's your process? Well, we meet in Costa Coffee and we have half an hour, we get to know each other. What if we could take that online by delivering you a video presentation that was specific, more information about their behaviors? We ask them the 5 key competency questions that you want to know the answers to. We package it together and it's delivered to you online. Would that potentially not replace that face-to-face meeting, but over the old recruitment process, compress it, make it more time efficient?
Yeah, that's a great point. A great point. Do you think, Paul, just to ask you a question then, because obviously you're at the coalface every single day of this. We've had COVID. We've all had to, live inside our houses for 2 years. We've had to use technology in order to communicate with people and to run our businesses, whether we've liked it or not. Some industry sectors are now kind of doing a full 180 back out into the offices and going out client meetings face to face. Do you think, from a client perspective, there is a reticence maybe to embrace technology in that way, because they're still fearful that you're not going to be able to build rapport, or it's not going to feel the same as meeting people face to face?
Perhaps initially, but once you've explained that's selling, isn't it? Once you've explained the value that you deliver and the benefits to them, not just a feature. We do a candidate video. So what? The benefits of that to you are A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Then it becomes understandable, and then they're going to move forward with you. Perhaps like anything, Joe, people are sometimes reticent to change, aren't they? So, but providing they get the explanation and they understand it, and there's evidence and proof of it working, then people will change.
I think so. I just want to sum this particular moving on, just to say, listen, it's not going away. So please do check out what your green credentials are. Understand your carbon footprint, understand your travel policies for both your candidates, your staff, yourself. Look at green certifications and partnerships, and do engage in initiatives, because that'll help you with the PR. Because this is something that's going to be looked at. What's our number 3's challenge, Joe?
So
Oh, by the
let's
way,
talk
look
about
over there.
ED&I.
Book a call with us. Book a call with us. Don't forget that one, Joe. You normally go
No,
like
absolutely.
this,
Book a
Joe.
call with us. Well, I'm just talking to people on LinkedIn, actually, because this is me embracing technology and trying to multitask. I'm probably doing a really bad job of it. So hello to everybody. Hi, Mark. Hi, Brad. Everyone who's watching. And I thought I'd just reply to a couple of messages while we're doing it. Yeah. So the fact that we're doing this, I mean, James, you've just spent 2 days. I know Brad was there as well. You've just spent 2 days down at the Recruitment Expo. And it's brilliant when you get to see people eyeball to eyeball. Everyone's come back with really positive reviews from it. But it's very labor intensive. Imagine the amount of time and effort and miles that everybody has had to tread in order to get there. And then we've got, over nearly 200 people that are just to come on here, half an hour, have a sandwich whilst you're doing it. So it's very, here's us reducing our carbon footprint. But yes, let's talk about number 3. So number 3, I think we've had Tom Coulter on talking about this before. And I know that there's a lot of conversation around ED&I in businesses, so diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think quite a lot of recruitment businesses are starting to factor this in. Again, Paul, are they just trying to get on the bandwagon to make themselves sound more attractive to clients and maybe just paying it lip service? Do you think it's a case of that, or do you see people really embracing this?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to what I said before about keeping up with the Joneses. There's very few, in my view, what did I say? 36,000 recruiters. With a pinch of salt, it's probably in that region. And I've always said there's very few good guys. It's not an industry, is it, that is absolutely filled with people who've got integrity, the best of intentions. They want to do things right. People want to do things fast and get paid as much as they can. Typically. So I've always felt that what we've done at iIntro is we've always tried to attract the good people, the right people, and we've got a great community, haven't we, of people who think and operate like we do with the best of intentions. So if I'm going to start to include this in my business, it's for the right reasons, not because I think I need to say it and pay it lip service. Hands up, I don't probably know enough about it, but we've had a lot of discussions within iIntro, and James might be able to give some better feedback than I, but I think it's in beta testing at the moment. But basically, where we can flick some switches in the iIntro software and it can anonymize profiles, for want of a better phrase. James, is that fair enough?
Yeah, I think in any recruitment process now, you've got to have the opportunity, or provide the client with the opportunity to do that. And obviously, within technology systems, we talk about the first part about embracing digital transformation. Well, we've had to embrace that as well, because we've got to support our clients who may need to deliver a campaign in that particular way, in a non-biased way. So our process is modular, and we have D&I capabilities built into our platform now. But I think with regard to the overall thing, I said, Joe mentioned, you can refer back to one of the Retained Recruiter shows we did probably about a couple of months ago with Thomas Coulter, where we spoke about D&I at great length. And I think in terms of the topics that you just need to be aware of is, you do need to be aware of it. You do need to make sure you've got some practices and policies built in. You report data that's there. You showcase a success story. So again, this is how can we help business leaders overcome these challenges? Tell people what you're doing in a positive way, and actually get out there and continue to commit yourself to continuous improvement in this area, because it's ever changing. It's not standing still. Now let's move forward to the 4th challenge that we talk about in our ebook. And if you want to download the ebook, there'll be a link appearing quite shortly to that. I think this is quite an important one, because it's all about developing and recruiting talent in your recruitment agency. So let's talk about some of the challenges facing recruitment leaders for the rest of this year around that particular area.
How long have we got? How long
About
do we
5
need
minutes.
You could talk for days. You could talk for days on this. It's quite ironic that as recruitment businesses, we're not very good at recruiting for ourselves. It's perfectly normal that, it's perfectly normal. All businesses are like that, because you take it personally. We tend to fall into kind of 6 or 7 major hiring traps, recruiting too quickly, halo and horns, feast and famine, all those kinds of things. And as agencies, as recruitment businesses, we need to get better at doing it ourselves. And then we need to take how we've gotten better, how we've improved our own recruitment and development of talent, and then take that out to the market, and then add value to our clients.
Got to practice what you preach. You've
100%.
got. I was speaking with a client of iIntro who's been with the business for a couple of years, and he said, "Oh, we're taking on a new hire, 360-degree recruiter." And he's asking for my opinion, and I said, "Well, can I have a look at the iIntro profile?" "Oh, we've not done one."
Slap on the wrists.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that person's now in the process of doing an iIntro profile, but you've got to practice what you preach. Everything that we preach is correct. It's fundamentally the right way to go about it. But you do get sidetracked, and you want quick wins, and you want to get things done, and you don't want to lose this person. And they've got to go through the process, and they've got to understand what it is that recruitment company sells as their USP and why it's important. So you can never forget that.
No.
And then obviously through that interview process, you're looking at how are they going to learn? How does that fit with the way you teach? Is it face-to-face? Is it remote? Is it through online training programs? Is it in their own time? And there's things like recruitmenttraining.com, and I'm sure, Joe, you've got mounds of knowledge on where people can go to learn. I think you've got to give people that access. You've got to ask them, which training courses do you want to go on? Where's the skills gap? What are you good at? And not necessarily what are you good at and what are you not so good at, and how do we align you? If you're good at something, how do you get even better at that? Sometimes you don't even have to worry about what they're not good at. Just don't let them do it. So that's part of the discussion. So continuous learning and development. What's their career path? Somebody who works in my business messaged me this morning and said, "Can we sit down next week and talk about my career path?" Absolutely, we can. I love it. Perhaps I should have gone to them sooner, but they're coming to me, which is great. So what can we discuss the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years? Yeah, but you've got to have, you've got to have certain things in place which allow people to learn. But what I like to see people saying, "I'm going to go learn in my own time as well." I love to see that.
Yeah. Now, how do you encourage that? How do you encourage that? Or I mean, again, let's practice what we preach. Retention starts with recruitment. I mean, are we looking for people who have that already in them? So that growth mindset, that continuous learning mindset.
I think so, because recruitment's hard, isn't it? I know it seems really easy.
Yeah, it is hard. Everyone should know that it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard, and you need certain qualities that we'd all agree. Resilience, you need to be dogged, and all that kind of stuff. But what demonstrates that in the early days? If you're bringing somebody in who's all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but they don't really know about recruitment, what I'm looking for for them to come to me and say, "Listen, I know that I want to get ahead, and I know there's not enough hours in the day, but I'm willing to commit a couple of hours 3 times a week. Where can I go and learn?" So we've got like recruitmenttraining.com. So there's the platform. Off you trot. In addition, let's say, for example, closing techniques in recruitment is really, really important, whether it's a alternative close or a Japanese close or whatever it may be. Go away and study for the next week find me 10 or 12 different closing techniques and come back, go and ask ChatGPT, but it's okay to do that because you're getting the right information, and come back and deliver it to me in a quick presentation over a coffee. Let's talk them through.
Again, Paul.
One final thing on the spot learning as well. I sent an email to a client this morning, a potential client, and I put an alternative close at the end. Very simple, very basic sales skill. And I copied a colleague in who's new to recruitment and said, "Can you just go through this email and pull 2 or 3 key points that make an email from me different to an email from a general administrator? What are those points?" And to be fair, he identified the alternative close as one of them, which was good.
I think this whole point about developing and recruiting talent in your ourselves is it's the analogy we give in the ebook is it's a bit like a plumber who has leaky pipes. You've got to practice what you preach and actually putting those there. You've got to foster that continuous learning environment. You've got to sort of make sure that you're cultivating and a place where people want to come and work at. And in the ebook, for each of these topics, these 5 key challenges that we put up there, we've given 3, 4, 5 suggestions for each one. So please do download that ebook and have a look at it. Let's I know we're running out of time, but we're just going to overrun by a few minutes. I think we just do need to talk about the biggest challenge that's facing pretty much everybody, which is all about winning more vacancies. Again, I just want to share some stats I picked up. I'm just eager to share these bits of information. I haven't created them, but having had that bumper year 2020-22, obviously 2023 for many was a challenge, unless you're Chris Hickey from Mercury Hampton, because they had a bumper 23, 24, going on. But the phrase it used, the long tail of 23 creeping in and impacting on the start of 2024, which many people have seen. But for those of you in the UK, all the indicators are just ride it out. It's not long to go. Just keep on doing the stuff that you've got to do, and it will come back. And one of the phrases that was put up on there, something that I've been using myself personally for 10 or more years, is the best time to contact your prospects and clients is when they're not hiring. And that may be now. Yeah, so staying in touch with them. So, Paul, let's have your views on how to win or the challenge facing recruiters who need to win.
You've alluded to, well, just somebody once told me, a guy called Craig Burton, a veteran recruiter, he told me about 10 years ago, and he said, there's 2 reasons why recruiters fail. And he looked at me and he pointed at my notepad as if to say, write this down.
Write this down.
Notepad. Reason number 1, recruiters don't do enough business development. Number 2, as above. So that's it, and it's true. And you talk about Chris Hickey and Chris and Jonathan who own Mercury Hampton. They're business developers. That's what they are, and that's what their team do all the time. Look at how many vacancies you've got, what you're working on. Do your business development every day. That, again, as I said before, links into marketing. Call people up. James has just said it. Doesn't matter if they're recruiting. They might know somebody else who's recruiting. It puts you front of mind when they are recruiting. Yeah, what can you find out? And I said to somebody the other day, I said, what would you do if LinkedIn went down for a month? I said, better still, what would you do if the internet went down for a month? No emails, no LinkedIn, no job sites, no CRM. Goes back to this, doesn't it? Calling people up and building relationships. And building relationships not only with clients but with candidates as well. And that's what worries me about this whole AI automation thing. And that's why I've been really clear on saying that you can use the technology in proportion. Continue speaking with people, because your candidates, call them up and let them know that they're not moving forward. It takes 2 or 3 minutes, and it's sympathetic, empathetic. It's more personal. It's appreciated, and your candidates are your next clients potentially. Yeah, so you've got to make sure that they're looked after and they value it, and it's really important. You're playing with people's careers and lives, so I think that personal touch has always been really important. So it wouldn't really bother me if the internet went down for a month, but it would for a lot of newer recruiters. I think they'd be like more.
Interesting point, Paul. Interesting point. Listen, if you think we can help you at iIntro, please do give us a call, or actually, more importantly, book a consultation. You can do it via the link that you see up there, www.retainedcall.com. That's a free consultation where we're going to talk you. Happy to talk you through the challenges you may be facing and what we may be able to do to help you. Joe, Paul, I think we've had some fascinating insight. Far too little time to spend on far too big a topic, and that's why we would recommend that you do download the ebook. It's totally free of charge. A great little read, and once you've read it, do get back in touch with us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks where we'll have a next show, so please do look out for that. Visit our page on LinkedIn and keep in touch with us. But Paul, on behalf of everybody here at the Retained Recruiter Show, thank you very much for your input today. Truly valuable. Joe, anything to sign off with?
No, just good to have you as always, Paul. Probably could have been done with longer than 30 minutes, but no, I think it's been good. And thanks ever so much for joining us. We've had loads of people join us today, and loads of people sort of hang around till the end as well. So that's brilliant. A few people joining.
Well, if anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn or wherever, or drop me an email, happy to pick up offline.
Yeah.
Indeed. And Brad's put a nice little comment about BD as well, so he's supporting what you're saying there. So thanks for that very much. Thanks for that too, Brad. Nice to see you the other day. So it's thanks for watching or listening, everybody. So it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Bye
Thanks,
now.
everyone. Have a great day.
Yeah.